When you search the clear blue waters of Florida's coast, you'll find a wide variety of marine life, and even a few tourists. But only when you remain respectful to nature will you encounter one of the world's kindest creatures, the manatee. The Florida manatee is a large mammal that spends a majority of time eating and sleeping. Their enormous lungs span over 3 feet long, meaning that when the manatees rest, they may not take a breath for up to 20 minutes. Manatee calves are born every 2 to 5 years and can immediately swim to the surface for air. Calves remain highly dependent on their mother and nurse under their flipper for up to 2 years. The calves keep a strong bond with their mother, following their migration pattern for the rest of their lives. While they stay relatively quiet, the sounds manatees do make reflect their gentle nature. Despite the elephant being its closest relative, life in shallow water suits the manatee. They use their primitive trunk to disturb the ground in search for food, and their large molars grind up any plant material they find. Manatees have marching molars, meaning that as the sand, rocks, and shells wear down their teeth, the back molars push the old ones out and replace them. Wild manatees rely on the seagrass on the bed of the marine floor, but manatees in captivity get fed a special diet. At 68 years old, Snooty is the oldest living manatee in the world. He was born in captivity, has been hand-fed his entire life, and cannot be released into the wild. Here, he and other manatees in rehabilitation are fed over a truckload of nutrient-dense kale and romaine lettuce every week. Wild manatees spend their days between the saltwater of the Gulf of Mexico and the freshwater springs of Crystal River. Manatees have to move to these springs during the colder months. They cannot live in water below 64 degrees, and the springs remain a constant 72 degrees year-round, providing near-perfect living conditions for the manatee. The shallow water here allows enough sun to hit the marine floor and sustain plant life, giving the manatee ample food, warmth, and a place to rest. Crystal River is home to the Three Sisters Springs Manatee Sanctuary, a refuge area completely devoted to protecting this gentle species. Dedicated volunteers spend their time patrolling the boardwalk around the sanctuary and assisting U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services with their duties.
We get to educate the public. That's really important because then they understand the importance of being a volunteer, or, you know, they know more about the manatee and why we protect it and the importance of protecting even our refuge area here, the land itself, and keeping our waterways clean, and that makes it easier for everybody here.
The tourism industry here also helps in protecting the manatees. One ecotourist organization aims to make sure guests are well educated about these marine mammals.
We call this the Manatee Mecca. Our main priority is to give information to visitors in the area who've just showed up and want to see some manatees. They have no clue where to go or where to find them. Also, we serve as an educational facility. So something that I really take a lot of pride in is our school groups.
Our behavior becomes very important. We don't want to scare them away. Okay, and if we get in the water and we act like a bunch of humans, okay, I think that's a simple way to put it, swimming, kicking, splashing, making a lot of noise.
We educate anywhere between 20 and 35,000 people every single year about the animals and the ecosystem that serve to protect them. So we consider it education being the foundation, and then of course information for all the visitors, kind of the hub here for Citrus County as far as manatees are concerned.
Even with the support of River Ventures and the Three Sisters Springs volunteers, there are still many things that threaten the species as a whole.
We tend to see these beautiful spring systems and want to use them for our human needs. You know, we want to go swimming there. One of our prettiest springs was slated for a condo development, and there was even rumors that they were going to turn it into a water bottling facility. Now it is private property, it's managed by U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and it will never be developed. Those are things that we're really, really proud of. So protecting their habitat is just as important as understanding the things that kill them.
The manatee's behavior of resting right below the surface makes it important for boaters to go slow and be watchful. But not all boaters are respectful of the law. The results from careless boaters are devastating.
Boating is an issue, red tide is an issue, and one of our biggest issues around here is our garbage. Fishing line filament, plastic bags, they're the vacuum cleaners of that ecosystem out there. So if our garbage is out there, as they're cleaning up the grass beds, they're going to clean up our garbage too, and that can cause them some gastrointestinal distress, and if we don't catch them in time, almost always death.
My husband and I retired to become Fish and Wildlife volunteers so that we could give back to the community and our wildlife and nature, because we've always been nature and wildlife oriented. So by doing what we're doing here at Three Sisters, we educate our visitors on manatees and manatee manners.
What we found is that as awareness has risen, the population has grown in direct proportion to that. So it's not a coincidence they're doing so well here in Florida. It's because of human efforts to save these ecosystems and to spread the awareness all over the planet.
They're non-aggressive, they're very curious animals, and they need our help. So it's important that we do this job so as Fish and Wildlife can continue to have refuges for our future generations. And we have grandchildren that we want to be able to come and see the manatee, and they're protected here.
Caring about manatees is imperative moving forward here in Florida for a lot of reasons. For me personally, I see an opportunity for people to kind of celebrate the symbiotic relationship between nature and humans, because they are so curious about us. It opens your eyes to a whole different world out there, and it helps people to see that there are other sentient beings out there that enjoy touch and enjoy contact the same way that humans do. Once I finished college, I came here to Crystal River, and I had an encounter with a baby manatee. He was called JJ, and I never went back. Literally, I never went back to Michigan. I've been here ever since. It changed my life, changed my perspective. I had no idea that you could get up close with an endangered animal like this that was curious as much about me as I was about them. It was moving for me, and at this point, I get to meet people every single day that are clearly moved by the experience. They're cute. They're cuddly, they're sweet. I mean, you can look into the eyes of a manatee and see there's something going on deeper than just they're eating plants, you know? And that's something that you don't get with other wild animals. How often can you go up to a wild animal and look them right in the eye and feel that pull in your heart?
Recently, the Florida manatee was taken off the endangered species list as their numbers are estimated to be 6,000. But they are still vulnerable, and their habitat needs to be protected if they are to survive in the future.